vie, car mes joies aujourd'hui, ça commence avec toi.
Watch your people. Hope you're all having lovely Sunday evenings or Sunday mornings, wherever you are. Welcome to our MYGA space. If you've never been here before, this is the space where we really get down to the crux of it all and delve into the stuff that is sometimes a little bit indecipherable. And so we try to make sense of it all. That's what we try to do. And then alleviate some of that heaviness that we're carrying around and hopefully go into next week with a bit of a swagger. So, firstly, before we get into it, I want to talk about the ever-changing MYGA space. And as the captain of this ship, I feel a deep and profound responsibility to guide, to support, to help navigate our humble little space. So it remains on the edge of reality, right on the fucking edge. So it continues to bang on the door of our comfort zones, where it can breathe, where it can flow in spontaneity more than anything, in that fiery freedom of fluidity. Now, to maintain the core values of its conception, to create an ever-expanding space which sees us all collectively stepping out of the shadows and embodying more of that juicy stuff. You know, the real stuff. The good stuff. For us to rediscover our greatness, to keep us on the threshold of change, to continually hone our sharpness, to remember our mission here, to dial in on that fine balance, that small nuance of confrontation and compassion, which, in case you haven't noticed, is what I do best. It's a quality or qualities I have in abundance, which are unsurpassed. And sometimes it's uncomfortable, but nothing has ever been born from being comfortable. As a community, we need to continually endeavor to stretch and to push past our limitations, any limitations that have been holding us back for far too long. And that we've been conned by our nefarious noggin to believe that we have to settle for mediocre, to stay in that same place that has limited us our entire lives, to falsely believe that we are not worthy of greatness. But you see, greatness comes at a cost. The price to ride in rich righteousness is a deep dive into the murky underworld. To rest the demons of our soul. To confront. To be honest with ourselves, firstly. To get our own house in order. To own the entirety of our shit. To disentangle, to accept, to make room for integration. Where the shadows meet the light and all dissolves into the fire of our freedom. Then from this place, greatness, contentment, self-assurance, joy, they are delivered effortlessly. We return to our factory setting, where we truly know who we are. And most importantly, why we are here. We rediscover meaning. We remember that we are whole as we are, our warts and all. My part in this is the cosmic conductor of the Do Not Fuck With Me orchestra. It's a vibration that you might have realised I've got pouring out of me, which I am here in this life to share unconditionally, to gift my strength to those who could use a lift, to encourage, to motivate. My calling for those who can hear me, to never ever give in, to never ever give up, to keep on loving ourselves no matter what. So, with all of this wonderful stuff that is the rich frequency of our MYGA space, driving from the deepest part of me is a change on the horizon to the format of MYGA from today. Because there's no time like the present, is there? And there is nothing quite like the sweet smell of spontaneity. So from today, our MYGA sessions will adapt to that calling. No longer will I invite people up to converse with me. The reason being is I feel deeply that it is an injustice to your own journey. You see, I come here to plant seeds of empowerment, right? I come here to fuel, to ignite, to be the charge of positive change, to keep people continually on the pulse of reality. And by having an open forum here, sometimes it feels we are diluting the message. We are undoing the worth of the powerful plan. See, my words are cosmically constructed with an infinite amount of passion and enthusiasm and excitement, which is unbridled, which needs time and it needs space to settle, to process, to sit with, to allow it to call to the part of you which can hear it, which can feel it. Until the day that that part of you breaks out of that self-imposed prison of limitation and remembers to fly again, to explode into all your unique expression, a sonic boom of colour that can be felt and heard around the world, uncensored, unrestrained, an audacious authenticity. To be bold, to be brave, and to live from your ultimate truth. Unshackled, unafraid, to reconnect with your true voice. The voice which is always certain, it's always definite, it's calm, constant, consistent. And I'm living proof of this practice. You know, I'm a tribute to this formula. It cannot be mistaken or debated. For once we are able to access and unlock what we really are, we become a true physical representation of God. To live as source embodied, to be plugged in to it all, whatever happens, right? Whatever life may chuck at us, we're plugged in. And we can use that stuff. Once you're plugged in, the stimuli, it just becomes neutral energy, a neutral energy field that we can use, where we can turn our shit into an art form, to transmute our perceived ugliness into our own fucking masterpiece. See, we are living, breathing brilliance, a walking, talking manifestation of miraculous melody. And this is what I want for you. All right? This is what I want for you, all of you. And to do so, to get there, wherever there is, to come home, these changes must come. And the thing is, it's not just about you as well, right? Because it makes me more effective too. Yeah. It makes me more effective. And by default, the platforms that I offer, they will answer that call. And collectively, as a community, we will thrive even more. And like we will still, listen, we'll still have our subjects, and I will speak on them. And to really continue having an interactive space, I will invite questions on each given subject, either here in the chat or by email prior to each event. So what happens is then is we streamline our collective mission and we create something well-oiled, well-packaged, which will support people wherever they may be, so they can remember their greatness as well as we are. That's what we're doing, aren't we? Furthermore, we are considering behind the scenes another weekly space for the community to come together as perhaps something like a MYGA open forum, which maybe, I don't know yet, because this is all very spontaneous. We're just figuring it out as we're going. Such is the flow. But a space that is perhaps facilitated by one of you lot, you know? And I mean, albeit online for now. And then what we will achieve is a dynamic space where we are looking at ways to create and support positive action, because that's what this is all about, right? That's what we're trying to do here. That's what we are doing here. And by taking these steps, we are spinning the flywheel of the free folk ecosystem to support one another, to connect with one another, to exchange with one another, to celebrate one another, to build a world that we've all collectively dreamed of. And if you feel disappointed by that, I do empathise with that. I really do. I really do empathise. But what I would say is have trust in me. For I am certain this is the best way forward. Not only for me, but you, for everyone. And the thing is if you are really struggling with something, then there's never really enough time here to even scratch the surface, is there? If there's something you're really struggling with, then you know that at the end of the day, we've got your back. We have the Hearing Heart platform, which is literally designed to hear you. And it doesn't matter how many times you've been in the hot seat, it doesn't matter. You are welcome back week after week, layer after layer, until you remember. Until you remember how fucking amazing you are. And also, as another platform of support, of connection, is our Telegram group. If you're not in it yet, then I would say it's a very, very beautiful invitation to create long-lasting relationships with like-hearted folk. And the community there is continuously strengthening all the time. People are finding each other like really, really finding each other, building strong friendships, building unbreakable bonds at a time when the world is really requiring us to build community from the ground up. The people are finding each other, both online and in real life. In fact, right, there's been a dozen or so occasions that people are finding one another in the physical realm, where they're able to connect, able to support each other, as it was always supposed to be, in fact. Like Kate and Tracy this week. I saw those photos very briefly. And I mean, that's what it's all about, right? That's testament to what we're doing here. We have taken the vehicle and the medium of the online world, of the technical world, of sometimes the superficial world, because it does feel it's not entirely natural, is it? Taken that invitation and found each other in real life. And considering one of the issues that I find repeats and repeats and repeats is people say they're lonely. And I get that. We spoke about it, didn't we, a few weeks ago? So to be able to have people actually finding each other in real life. I know this is real life as well, but you know what I mean, in the physical world. To be able to actually put your arms around each other and look each other in the eyes and connect with one another, support one another, be there for one another in the local physical proximity. That just, it melts my heart. And it really, really does reaffirm how amazing it is what we're creating here, between us all. It's something so very fucking special. It really, really is. And I just feel that is only going to grow when we've got our Folk Finder app, which is still in the process of what I like to call early pre-production stage, where we're just sort of trying to work out how we'd go about it. What does it look like and stuff like that before we start putting it a bit further out into the universe to answer. But this already, what's happening from our Telegram MYGA space, where people are actually getting together and becoming pals. I mean, that's really quite touching, Should we all take a deep breath? Let that settle, shall we? Welcome back. All right, then. So now we've got that out of the way. Who remembered their homework this week? Anyone? Setting boundaries was the homework this week. We were setting boundaries to be able to create a fluid framework for our lives, for our being, which is really born out of the essence of love for ourselves, first and foremost, right? Again, we sometimes, it's becoming repetitive, but I think repetition is a good thing, because if you think about the programming and conditioning and indoctrination we've all had over our lives, the reason that's been so effective is because of repetition. So I don't think there's anything wrong with positive repetition or positive affirmation. And I feel like that's something we have to remind ourselves a lot. So the analogy I'm speaking of is when you're on an airplane and they say about you need to get down your mask and you need to breathe oxygen to make sure you're good before you help anyone else. And I think we can take that analogy into life all the time, to not get involved in anyone's shit. to make sure that we are centered and we are connected to our core, into the essence of who we really are, before we start getting involved in anyone else's bollocks. We have to kind of to learn or unlearn really where we start and where we end. And then we're able to create this, it's a fluid fortress of friendship where built on the foundations of how we see ourselves first and foremost, right? Because how can we ever really love anyone if we don't love ourselves first? I feel like unless we've really creating that love within ourselves, a lot of our relationships become codependent. And then, that doesn't mean they're necessarily dysfunctional or toxic. I mean, like quite deep and heavy levels of codependency, I feel like they do create dysfunctional environments for us to be able to live in and us to be able to have a relationship in. But loving ourselves first, it corrects all that quite easily. How we care for ourselves is how we're going to go out and we're going to interface with the world. And how we value ourselves and these loving boundaries that we create, what it does in the end is it actually builds even more stronger and more meaningful relationships. And that's not just with ourselves, because of course, by shining that love back in and building upon that worth, that value for ourselves, that's a wonderful thing for our own relationship. But then we're going to take that vibration, we're going to take that into all of our relationships. So they become a lot more meaningful. They become a lot more profound. They become a lot more real, a lot more truthful, And listen, look, we're fucking early. Yeah. We're really, really fucking early still. All right. It's still baby steps for like a lot of us, like real baby steps. So we're going to go back and forth, aren't we, all the time? We're always going to go back and forth. We're never going to get to the bit where we're just going to go, oh, fucking hell, I've worked it all out. It's brilliant. All my relationships are lovely. Everyone knows not to fuck with me. Don't take the piss. Here I am, and it's good. It doesn't work like that. We've got to unlearn a lot of shit, and then we've got to uncover like who we really are to be able to get into all that stuff. So we are going to go back and forth for a little while because it's all new to us. Like no one's been talking like this to us ever. This is all new information. It's not really, because like deep down inside of us, we know it. It's already there. It's an innate wisdom that runs through all of us, right? And I'm just a messenger, like it's in us already. That's the whole point. You're already it. We just need to pull it out. We just need to get all that other shit out of the way. And then we find it. And we say, oh yeah, it was there all along. What the fuck was I out there searching for? It's in here. But the only way we can get closer and closer to that is really building upon our own self-worth. And this is what this whole space is about, isn't it? It's what it's always been about. To make yourself great again. Because you were great before. Our default setting is great. And of course, like great sometimes isn't the correct definition if I really wanted to get into what it is. To me, it's about love. But of course, like, it's not called Make America Love Again, is it? So we decided just to fucking transmute that fuckery over there and call it MYGA instead of MAGA. So by doing that, right, by creating this bond with ourselves, then all of our other bonds in our life, they, just by the reaction to the bond that we've created with ourselves, they all start to fall into place. And it becomes really, really simple. If you take a look at the word relationship, it comes from Latin. And it's like, oh my God, dear Danny's turned into a scholar. He's quoting Latin here on the MYGA space this evening. Do you know I was actually in Latin? Just reminded me of that, and I said it then. I don't know why, but I chose to do, when I was 11 or 12, I think it was, in senior school, I chose to do Latin because one of my mates was doing it. And then I chose to do German because I fancied this girl who was doing German. And that was really my first exposure to language. And I remember just all I was trying to learn, my entire Latin lesson one day, was how to say your mum is a dog. I can't remember it right now, so that's failed, didn't it? Eh? Bloody school. It can't even teach me how to say your mum's a dog in Latin. But the word relationship comes from relatio, which is a Latin word which means connection. And so if you add the ship part to that, right, to the connection, then for me, we're talking about us again, isn't it? This is our ship, right? This is our ship of connection for ourselves and for everything. We're the way we connect. And that ship needs a fucking captain, all right? It needs a captain or it's going to fucking sink or it will smash off the rocks, you know? So each of us must step up to become the captain of our own vessel. First and foremost, if we're not entirely our own captain, then our ability to navigate the best course for our ship will be impaired. And then we end up risk going the wrong way, don't we? We end up going the wrong way, and all of a sudden we're floating into stormy waters and shark-infested seas where the labour and the difficulty and the exhaustion and all of that stuff could have so easily been avoided by listening to that voice of our inner captain. Ahoy there! I just thought I'd add that in. Boundaries. Boundaries. Forged out of the love for ourselves. Built on the formidable foundations of who we really are. Once they are in place, life becomes so much more simpler. And not just for us. That's the whole point of boundaries, all right? Not just for us, but for all of our external relationships too. If we rediscover our true voice, we will be heard. And again, if this fucker, Radio Danny, if it becomes too noisy, by the way, just to double check, right? Mine's called Radio Danny, right? It'd be a bit weird if you lot was calling yours Radio Danny as well, because then it might catch on and then everyone is going to think if you're mental, you've got to say you're Radio Danny, and that's not great, is it, for me? What's wrong with him? Oh, he's got a bit of that Radio Danny. It's actually quite accurate though, because it is, we all suffer from the same thing, right? It's just the very, very the misaligned radio in the head. If it gets too noisy, we have to question its validity, don't we? All right. Now, how do we do that? All together now. Is this nourishing me? Is this benefiting me? All right. For everything. For our thought process, for the narrative we're believing in, for the people who are around us, for the food we're eating, for our habits, for what we're spending our time on, those fucking pesky devices, the stuff that we're watching, the relationships we've got, every single bit of it. Is this nourishing me? Is this benefiting me? And if the answer is no, then let it go. Let it go. And I don't mean like you haven't got to let it go permanently. We're not like that here. We don't do any of that hard, cold cut stuff. But we just regroup. We just take a step back from whatever it is that is not nourishing us, that is not beneficial to us. We take a step back, regroup, reset, start to listen to that voice that is beneficial, that is nourishment. All right? Now, I can't stress, I really can't stress the importance of continually, habitually practicing the inquiry of the lying bastard mind. Yeah, it is of utmost importance right now because we are being bombarded by stimuli. We are being saturated by external noise. We're drowning in it sometimes. And so that stimulates the mind, and all of the fucking food we eat as well. My God, the caffeine, the sugar, like the fucking, all of the stuff, whatever else is in the fucking food as well. All of it. And if you've never seen it, by the way, I've done a wonderful live once upon a time called The Great Brain Robbery. And I think that would be a wonderful thing for everyone to watch because it really does break down in a longer form with a bit more consideration as to what I'm talking about now. Of the lying bastard mind. If it's constantly stimulated and we are constantly having to listen to that, the noise level's high, isn't it? All right. So we're listening to it, whether by default. A lot of people say, oh, just turn your mind off, you know, just go to the no mind. Go to the no mind. And I mean, I don't actually think that place exists. I think the mind is just something it just has less and less importance. It's just something we don't listen to as much. It just becomes that sort of really annoying friend who we're just really like, it's just not even there anymore. Not really a friend, is it? Fucking hell, that sounds nice. So we continually question the lying bastard mind, right, over and over again, yeah? And closer we will get to that true voice. The voice which is nourishing us, which is beneficial to us, and not the voice that is masquerading as us. And like everything, yeah, this goes across the board, like everything, the more you invest, the easier it will get. All right? That's how it works. Like for me personally, if all you're doing, yeah, and this is a little bit confronting, but you know, it's kind of my style, just in case you didn't notice. If all you're doing in your life is turning up to MYGA and listening to me rant on, then that's not enough, is it? You know, like there's a lot of value in what I'm talking about, and you know that because that's why you're here. But the value it's only really measured by how it represents itself in the physical world. Yeah. That's what we are doing, right? So it's all good listening to this, but you've got to do something with it. We've all got to do something with it. All right. You know, we've got to practice what we preach. And, you know, I'm doing my best to do that as well. And I know sometimes that's challenging because we have spent our whole life habitually going around on this fucking hamster wheel, and we've never really took a moment to smell the roses. And now we are. It's almost like we've opened up Pandora's box and we're sort of like, whoa, there's a lot of information that I've suppressed and fucking buried over these years. But by really taking time on self-inquiry, questioning the validity of the mind, we're able to get through all that jumble, you know? We'll get all, and a lot of it is like, it's just noise. And so, again, you know, I know this boundaries is not this week's subject. However, it's so valuable for us to just keep reminding that all the time, you know, positive repetition, positive affirmation. These boundaries need to be set for everyone. If everyone in the world had strong boundaries, right, what we just saw happen in the last 4 years, it could never have happened. They would have said, all these channels would have gone off, bow, 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 this is happening, that's happening, you've got to muzzle your kids, and you've got to stick this up your nose, and you've got to fucking be tested with this clinical fucking trial mRNA vaccination. And we'd have just gone, no thanks, that's not for me. So it's of utmost importance that we create these boundaries because then they become us, all right? So then it's automatic and the boundaries are already there and we just we just become even stronger, even more cemented in them values. And then that's our life, that's who we become. And doesn't that make everything so much fucking easier? Of course it does. So, boundaries. Is this nourishing me? Is this benefiting me? All right? Remember it. It's important. Okay, then. On to today's subject. Another big one. All right? A big, big one. In fact, I'm just going to have a little sip of water if you don't mind. We could play some lift music, couldn't we? While I'm just drinking some music, drinking some water. I won't drink too much in case I have to go pee pee. And you'll be sitting there going, "Where's he gone?" Um, big subject, you know, this week. Big for all of us again, you know, collectively. Big subject. Another one which is complicit in keeping us suppressed by the shadows, to keep us lost in the fog of the internal war. Guilt. Guilt. Not guilty, Your Honour. It's the first thing that comes to mind for me. Said that a few times. That's the first place to start, though, isn't it? Is that you're not guilty. You know? None of us are. Because right, if we really start to unpack it, what a useless fucking feeling guilt is, isn't it? Eh? It has absolutely no place in the present. In fact, it can only really exist by clinging on to the past. You know, and what is it doing when it's clinging on to the past? It's reminding us in this sort of like really spiteful way, like reminding us how we fell short. Those things that we didn't do correctly. The mistakes we made. Yeah, we made mistakes. No fucking shit. That's what this is whole about. And this whole experience is about that. But let's look at which version of ourselves supposedly made the perceived mistakes. Because at the time, right? Because look, just for an example, so you know what I'm talking about. If all of a sudden we can say, like, oh, I feel guilt. What am I feeling guilty about? All right, bang. We can all give an example as to what kind of guilt we've had while we've been carrying around what anything. Yeah, I'm sure everyone here has got some kind of thing that they feel guilty about, whatever it is. At that time, when that supposed perceived mistake was made, in the instant, in the absolute instant, we reacted to a situation. All right, that's what happened most of the time, because a lot of the time we sort of say the things that we feel guilty about. Normally, they're quite high octane, dramatic episodes in our lives where we feel like we could have behaved better. Right. So if you take like those, feel those sort of like high octane moments taking place, and we all know what they're like. I mean, like, you've got kids and it's going crazy. You've got a job that you're fucking stressed out with and you want to kill your boss. You've got fucking a relationship that's falling apart, or you've got drunk and you've done things, or you've took drugs and you've done things, and all that stuff. It's all high octane stimuli, right? All stuff that was like, woof. Yeah. It's all happening like bang, 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 bang in an instant. All right. In an instant. Did we plan? Did we take a step back, consider, and take a plan, make a plan to react like that? To choose our behavior, to sit down and strategize? No, almost certainly not. The things that we're guilty about didn't have any kind of planning whatsoever. We reacted to life, to difficult, exhausting, challenging life. We reacted. We reacted to being stressed, being burnt out, being on the fucking cusp of insanity, of not being able to take anymore, not being able to give anymore. So we reacted in a way that, in retrospect, now we've labelled as bad. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. Oh, I shouldn't have done it. Why did I do that? You know? But what would have happened if we hadn't reacted like that? Would life be better? Would we all of a sudden have found joy, have found contentment, inner peace? Nope. Not a fucking chance. All of this for me, for you, for everyone else. It's all playing out as it's supposed to. Now, that is not to trivialize people's suffering, all right? It's not to do that. It's not to dilute it. It's not to just to box it into one little sentence, you know. But didn't your suffering bring you to here? Make you who you are today? I know mine did, you know. And I'll tell you something, right? My dear old mum, yeah, my dear old mum, she'll have a go at me for calling her old when she sees this. I call her the mummers, right? I don't know if anyone remembers. This is very sort of UK. I think it was the UK. It might have been American actually as well. There was a program called Dinosaurs, and it was on a Sunday afternoon, and it was just sort of like a comedy of these like people walking around in dinosaur outfits. Do you remember that, the Dinosaurs program? And there used to be like a clumsy dad in it, right? And whenever he tried to soothe the baby would throw something at him or whack him with a rattle or like chuck his dinner in the air. And he would shout something like, it was like, not the mama, not the mama, not the mama. And because we were kids and we were watching that, we used to laugh our heads off with my mum. And so all of a sudden out of nowhere, we started calling her the mamas. And a few days ago, the mamas, she texted me and she said, would I discuss guilt on MYGA? And so that's our subject matter for today, thanks to my mother. Thanks, mum. Fucking hell. Couldn't you have said, like, can we discuss 80s music, 80s pop genre music? Be nice and light. So straight away, I felt, wow, what a rich fucking subject that is, you know? And then I felt that is something my mum is contemplating, all right? Otherwise, she wouldn't have said it. Why? Because I know that she carries a hell of a lot of guilt, you know? Because even though that woman broke her fucking back and had her heart broken a lot of the time by us over and over, not so much me because I was a little bit of a golden bollocks. I still am. I mean, I was the worst actually. I was definitely the worst on paper, but I was very good at hiding it, you know? So my mum, bless her, she raised three nutty boys on her own, which is not for the faint-hearted, by the way, you know, in a world in the council estates of London where we didn't have a pot to piss in, and we got into bundles of trouble, yeah, bundles of trouble. I mean, like some serious fucking shit as well, right? Some she knows of and some she don't. So I'm not going to put myself in it. I'll give you one little story, right, which she knows about, so we're all good. She's not gonna have a go at me. I was a little bit of a joyrider, right? And I loved cars and I loved fucking adrenaline. So we used to get up to right mischief, me and my pals, and we would like find ways to get people to give us old cars, or sometimes nick cars, or sometimes buy cars. I mean, I swapped a phone, an Ericsson T28S. I swapped one of them when I was 15 for a mini Metro. Got into a lot of shit in that car as well. That's a story for another time. So I got given a car by someone who said to me, you can play around with it, but you just got to make sure you burn it, right? So he's obviously doing an insurance job on it, the fella. And so he gave me this car, and we and my pals, we drove around for the weekend. I was only 16, I think, barely 16. No, I was 17. I was actually 17, just turned 17. And we drove it around everywhere, got into loads of trouble. And for some reason, I thought it'd be a good idea to go to this place where there used to be like humps, where everyone used to take their like motocross bikes and do the jumps in them. And I thought, wouldn't it be funny if we'd done that in a car? So we went down to this dump and we drove this car around like lunatics. And then we like sort of got a big run up, and then we went for this big hill jump, Went over it, bosh, and then we landed on the other side. But it was like thick, wet mud on the other side, and the car got completely stuck because the mud just completely ate the wheels. And so we were stuck in the mud. And we found this guy who was meant to be looking after the yard. And we was like to him, mate, can you come and pull us out of there so we can get the car back out and stuff? And he was like, yeah, yeah, I'll do that for you, lads. And instead, he didn't. He went and called the police. So when he set me up properly, this geezer, by the way, because he got me to sit in the driver's seat and start like revving the car up to try and spin out of it. And then the police turned up and they nicked everyone. But the crucial thing is that for some reason I had my little brother with me. You know, I took him along for the day. Come for a nice day out, educational, informative, knowledgeable day out today, Steve-O. And so I took him out, and he got nicked with me. So because I was 17 at the time, I don't know if the law's still the same now, but you didn't have to tell your parents that you had been arrested. So I was like, they said, do you want us to phone your mum or dad? And I was like, no fucking way. But unbeknown to me, of course, my younger brother, who was only 14, they had to phone my mum for him. So they phoned my mum, and she walked into the police station, into the back bit of the police station where the cells are. And she walked in, and she saw up on the board as she was walking in, it said my surname in number 1, and then the same surname in number 7 as well. And so she knew. She was like, they're both in there. Both of them. The fucker, it must be him. So she went and saw my brother, and then she asked if she could see me. And she came into and she was like, what the fuck are you doing to your brother? And she had like a go at me and stuff. And I was like, Mum, you got to help me here. So she went back and forth to the cells to make sure me and my brother had the correct story, which was the difference, I believe, between me getting charged and having the charges dropped, which they were eventually, based on a very, very elaborate and fucking convincing story that we come up with between me, mum, and my younger brother. And that just gives a little bit of sort of context to the testament of what my mum, she's a fucking lioness, yeah, absolute lioness. And she's always been there for us, always, all right, through thick and thin. And yet, however, I know that she's chose that subject matter today because she feels guilt. She's feeling guilty about maybe like, well, she didn't give us the life that she would like to have, you know. And through thick and thin, you know, I'm going to talk to her directly because she's going to watch his mama, darling. You have got absolutely nothing to feel guilty about. You need to let it go, mum, as we all do. To forgive yourself, as I have forgiven you, as I have forgiven myself for my part in it all. And you done your best with the tools you had available to you at the time. And your perceived mistakes were acted out by a innocent ignorance at best. You were innocent. You were doing your best. And not to forget, you were dealing with a lifetime of your own fucking shit as well. And then carry on carrying all of our shit to boot. And now, you're still carrying guilt. And it's a broken record. It's a program which is begging for disentanglement. It's dying to be released. It's wanting to be dissolved into the love you have for you now. To know it's okay, as it had to be. You know? Because look at me, mother. Look in my eyes. Look how I affect the world. Look what I bring to the table. And I can only do that because you were and are my mum. And you showed me the way. How to do it? and not how to do it. And the same goes for you, Dad, if you happen to be watching this as well, because sometimes I know you do. Got to forgive yourselves. That guilt we carry around is a useless emotion. It is the tentacles of the shadow self, which is keeping us in self-deprecation, is beating ourselves up, reliving old parts of ourselves that are now redundant. They're expired. And yet the guilt is fueling the patterns of self-sabotage, believing we should have done things better. Impossible. It's impossible. We acted out of what we had available to us at the time. And of course, like I said, like looking back, having grown, yeah, now we condemn, we judge, and we criticize. But we're doing that. We're criticizing and judging and condemning our actions from a safer place, from a wiser perspective, which was never, ever available back then, was it? You know? It's easy to see now, you know, to go back to look at that from a different perspective and go, oh, I could have done that better. But when you're in it and life's taken over, at the time, when you're in the hot fucking mess of it all, when we almost don't even make it out alive, we gave everything we could. You know? We just survived. Just survived. We tried our best with the tools that were available to us. And I'm a papa now. And I too once carried a lot of guilt. But no more. But no more. I refuse. Truly, I refuse. It's pointless. It's counterproductive. It's counterintuitive to my journey, to me really loving myself, forgiving myself, and knowing that shit happens as it's supposed to. And I say this is that, Mum and Dad, would I change anything? As painful as it's been? Not one fucking iota. Because those challenges have built me, you know, as they have everyone else. That's what our challenges do. We've been forged in the fiery chaos. I was built in the loving, fucked up turmoil. And that's the rich stuff right there, isn't it? You know? And I wouldn't change a one fucking thing of it. Not one thing. So every one of you listening right now, every single one of you, forgive yourselves. Forgive yourselves. For you didn't know. You didn't know. And believe it or not, you were innocent. You were innocent in all of it. Because you didn't know. It wasn't premeditated. It wasn't a planned attack on someone. That guilt. Don't carry that heavy burden, which is stopping you from remembering how to fly, shackling you to the past, keeping you in the shadows. I'll tell you what. Let us all right, transform that guilt today. Okay? If you feel safe enough to do so, let it all come to the surface. All those memories, all those stories, all of those situations, those episodes. Let it all come to the surface, every fucking bit of it right now. All that guilt, bring it all up. Just for 1 minute. Just feel all of that guilt you've been carrying for your whole life. Really, really feel its heaviness, its constraint. Feel it. And now, give your fucking word that if your guilt is that you didn't love enough, then now you will love more. If your guilt is that you didn't show enough affection, then today you will become a fucking love bomb. If your guilt is that yesterday you were angry, then today you will be calmer. If your guilt is that you once said cruel things to people, then now you will be kinder. If you're feeling guilty that you never protected those you love, then from now on you will guard them with your life. If you're guilty because you caused people harm, well, let that now fuel you to help people. For all those supposed mistakes, the shortcomings, the failings, all of it is forgiven. Bridges will be rebuilt. The heart will be replenished. And it will learn to love again. To go within and forgive. To go without and celebrate those you love. To undo. To unshackle. To remember. To stop the rusty, dusty old record spinning around. Stop listening to the judgment and know that deep, deep in our hearts, this was our experience. And as sad as it has been, as challenging sometimes as it has been, it brought us to here. A place where change is available. Where we can finally forgive. Make peace with that exhausted burden. And unlearn that repetitive dialogue. To write a new story. From today. From now. Where love guides your pen. And those pains of the past are just that. The past. Today is what matters. So love, like your life, depends on it. Because it does. All right, so just a little reminder for anyone who doesn't know. we got the Hearing Heart platform that is there for you to support you, to help you, to really create a sacred and safe space for you to go a bit deeper, to dissolve a few more shadows, to make yourself great again. Also, just so you know, I did mention it, didn't I? A few weeks ago, I did mention that we are going to do a free folk presentation, all right, and then we didn't do it. It's because like life takes over, right, and we've got so much stuff going on, not just only in my little world, but also like in our entire team. You know, it's a real vibrant and busy space. So we are planning to do a presentation, and we'll give some kind of idea about that in the coming weeks through some kind of email, I guess, a reminder of the dates, where we will talk about the entirety of the project. You know, both the physical part and the online part, which is what you're all part of tonight, funnily enough. And then the other thing is next week, Neil. Is it next week? Are we going to show next week the thing we've been working on? Are we going to put that out next week? Yes, he's giving me the thumbs up. But we got something really, really fucking exciting that we're gonna land next week, I believe. So look out for that, because that's something very, very dear to our hearts, and it's very fucking exciting. So, lastly, I have to say this because otherwise I get told off not to say it. We are a donations based organisation currently. However, this model is not currently working. So, whilst we discover and investigate alternative models, we would ask that if you're taking value from this space and you have the financial available funds to consider making a donation, which you can do on our website. And I know a lot of you already have as well. So this massive, massive thanks and massive gratitude for that, as always, you know. But just to remind anyone who might be new, that is our organisation, and we are reliant sometimes on the generosity and goodwill of our audience. Okay, then, people. I don't know if there's any any questions about guilt in the chat, but if there isn't, then I am going to sign off. Oh yeah, one last thing. You can watch this on YouTube as well now, and I think we're going to put it on Spotify in the coming weeks as well. So that'll be nice as well. All right, people, have a lovely, lovely evening, and forgive yourselves, for fuck's sake. It's all it's a waste. It's such a waste. You know? Just forgive yourselves. All that guilt's just so not in keeping with where we're going. So let it go. All right? Over and out.
Non, rien de rien. Non, je ne regrette rien. Ni le bien